Before the miracles, before the healings, before the stories people would tell for centuries, something terrible had already happened on earth. The world had fallen into darkness. Not the ordinary darkness created by human weakness, but a corruption that had come from heaven itself. Ancient writings describe a time when the earth was drowning in violence. Giants roamed the land. Human flesh was devoured. Blood soaked into the ground, and the cries of the innocent rose toward heaven without end. Heaven responded. God sent 4 archangels, Michael, Gabriel, Uriel, and Raphael. Each one was given a mission. Uriel would warn Noah of the coming flood. Gabriel would turn the giants against each other. Michael would bind the rebellious watchers in chains until the day of judgment. And Raphael was sent after the one who had corrupted the world, Azazel. Centuries later, Raphael would guide a young man named Tobias along dangerous roads. He would chase a demon across deserts and bind it in the wilderness of Egypt. He would heal broken bodies, restore sight to the blind, and become known across nations as the angel whose name means God heals. But long before those miracles, the world was drowning in evil. To understand Raphael's mission, we must return to the beginning of the corruption. Ancient texts tell of angels called the Watchers. They were originally sent by God to observe humanity. They were meant to watch, to guide, and to protect. But something changed. As they watched the daughters of men, fascination slowly turned into desire. Desire became obsession, and obsession became rebellion. 200 of these angels descended from heaven. Their leaders were powerful beings named Semyaza and Azazel. They gathered upon a mountain called Hermon and swore a terrible oath together. They would abandon their heavenly position, they would take human wives, and they would live among humanity as rulers. This decision shattered the natural order of creation, but the greatest damage came from what they taught. Azazel became the teacher of forbidden knowledge. He showed men how to forge weapons, swords, knives, shields, and armor. Warfare became more organized and more brutal than ever before. Violence spread across the earth. But Azazel also taught other dangerous secrets. He revealed the arts of manipulation through beauty, cosmetics, and jewelry. He introduced sorcery, astrology, and divination. Knowledge that had once belonged only to heaven now existed in human hands. The consequences were catastrophic. The unions between fallen angels and human women produced offspring known as the Nephilim, giants. These creatures grew to enormous size. Their strength was terrifying, and their hunger even worse. At first, they consumed everything humans could produce, but when food ran out, they turned against humanity itself. Ancient records say the giants began devouring human flesh. Blood filled the rivers. Violence became the language of the world. The souls of the murdered cried out to heaven without rest. Finally, God looked down upon the devastation, and he summoned his archangels, Michael, Gabriel, Uriel, and Raphael, descended from heaven and witnessed the destruction spreading across creation. They saw the corruption. They saw the bloodshed. They saw the influence of Azazel spreading like a plague. The archangels returned to God and asked what must be done. Each one received a mission. Uriel would warn Noah of the flood that would cleanse the earth. Gabriel would provoke the giants into destroying each other. Michael would bind the rebellious watchers in chains until the day of judgment.
and Raphael. Raphael was sent after Azazel himself, the one who had corrupted humanity, how to destroy itself. The ancient writings do not describe the battle. They do not say how long Raphael searched, but they do tell us what happened when the archangel finally found him. In a desolate wasteland deep in the desert, Raphael captured Azazel. He bound the fallen angel hand and foot. Then he dragged him across burning sand to a place called 𝗛𝗲𝗃. There Raphael tore open the earth itself. A deep pit formed beneath them. The archangel cast Azazel into the darkness. Then he piled jagged stones over the opening, sharp rocks that would crush and imprison the fallen angel. Finally, he covered the prison with darkness so complete that Azazel would never again see light until the day of judgment. The one who had corrupted the earth was now buried beneath it. But this act was not only punishment, it was healing, because the name Raphael carries a powerful meaning. Raphael means God heals. The earth itself needed healing. The corruption had spread like an infection through the world, and sometimes healing requires removing the source of the disease. By binding Azazel, Raphael began restoring balance to creation. Slowly, the earth began to recover. The teacher of corruption had been silenced, but Raphael's mission was far from finished. Centuries would pass, empires would rise and fall, and one day God would send Raphael back to earth again, this time not as a warrior, but as a traveler walking beside a young man named Tobias.
Centuries passed after Raphael imprisoned Azazel beneath the desert. Empires rose, kingdoms fell, and humanity slowly rebuilt the world that had once been consumed by violence. But heaven had not forgotten the angel who healed the earth. Raphael still had work to do, and this time his mission would look very different. Far away in the Assyrian capital of Nineveh lived a man named Tobit. He was an Israelite living in exile, a man who refused to abandon his faith even while surrounded by foreign gods and foreign customs. Tobit was known for his generosity. He gave money to the poor, and he performed a dangerous act that many others were too afraid to do. Whenever Israelites were executed by the authorities, Tobit secretly buried their bodies so they could receive a proper burial. It was a simple act of compassion, but one that placed his life in constant danger. One evening, after burying another victim, Tobit returned home exhausted. The night was warm, and he lay down outside beside a wall to rest. Above him, sparrows had built their nests. While he slept, the birds dropped waste into his eyes. Slowly, a white film began to grow across his vision. Within days, Tobit became completely blind. 4 long years passed in darkness. The man who had once been respected and independent now depended on others for everything. His wife Anna worked tirelessly to support the household, while Tobit sat helpless at home. Poverty and frustration filled the house. Arguments became frequent. Finally, crushed by sorrow, Tobit prayed. He asked God to release him from his suffering. On that very same day, far away in the city of Ecbatana, another desperate prayer rose to heaven. A young woman named Sarah had also reached the edge of despair. Sarah had been married 7 times, but every single husband died before the marriage could even begin. A demon named Asmodeus had murdered each one. 7 weddings, 7 funerals. Over time, people stopped seeing Sarah as a victim. Instead, they blamed her. Servants mocked her and called her a husband killer. Humiliation followed her everywhere. Broken by shame and grief, Sarah went to her window and faced towards Jerusalem. There she prayed, asking God to take her life. 2 prayers spoken hundreds of miles apart reached heaven at the same moment, and heaven answered. God sent Raphael, but this time the archangel did not arrive in blazing glory. Instead, he descended quietly, disguised as an ordinary young traveler. He took the name Azarias and waited in the marketplace of Nineveh like any other man searching for work. Meanwhile, Tobit suddenly remembered something important. Years earlier, he had deposited a large amount of silver with a man living in another city. Because of his blindness, he could not retrieve it himself, so he called his son Tobias. The journey would be long and dangerous. Tobias would need a trustworthy guide who knew the roads. Tobias went to the marketplace searching for someone to accompany him. There he found the traveler called Azarias. Of course, Tobias had no idea he was speaking to an archangel. Raphael calmly told him that he knew the road very well and had traveled it many times. Relieved, Tobias brought the stranger home. Though Tobit could not see him, he carefully questioned the traveler about his background. Satisfied with his answers, Tobit hired him immediately. The next morning, Tobias and his guide began their journey. They walked eastward across long roads beneath the blazing sun. Raphael matched Tobias's pace, moving as a human traveler would. As evening approached, they reached the great river Tigris. Tobias stepped into the water to wash his feet. Suddenly, a massive fish lunged from the depths, trying to swallow his foot. Terrified, Tobias cried out. Raphael reacted instantly. Grab the fish, hold it tightly. Together, they wrestled the creature onto the shore. Then Raphael gave strange instructions. Cut open the fish, remove its heart, its liver, and its gall. Keep them carefully, they will serve as medicine. Though Tobias did not yet understand, he obeyed. Days later, they approached the city where Sarah lived. Raphael casually mentioned that they would stay with a man named Raguel, a relative of Tobias. Raguel had a daughter named Sarah. According to their laws, Tobias had the right to marry her. The moment Tobias heard this, fear filled his mind. He had heard the rumors. 7 husbands had died on their wedding night, killed by a demon. Tobias worried that if he married Sarah, he would suffer the same fate. But Raphael reassured him. When you enter the marriage chamber tonight, burn the fish heart and liver with incense. The demon will smell the smoke and flee. He will never return. Trust me. When they arrived at Raguel's house, the family welcomed Tobias with joy. But when the subject of marriage was raised, Raguel's expression became troubled. He had already given his daughter in marriage 7 times. Each husband had died on the very night he entered her chamber. Yet, according to their law, Tobias belonged to Sarah. The marriage agreement was written. That evening, the house filled with celebration. But secretly, Raguel instructed his servants to dig a grave before dawn. He feared he might need it again. That night, Tobias entered the chamber. Before speaking to Sarah, he followed Raphael's instructions. He placed the fish heart and liver on burning incense. Thick, bitter smoke filled the room. When the demon smelled the smoke, he fled in terror towards the distant regions of Egypt. But Raphael pursued him. Across deserts and wilderness, the archangel chased the fleeing demon.
Finally, in the upper regions of Egypt, Raphael captured him. Just as he had once bound Azazel, Raphael bound the demon in chains. Morning came. Expecting tragedy, Raguel sent a servant to check the chamber. But the servant returned with astonishing news. Both Tobias and Sarah were alive, peacefully sleeping. The grave that had been prepared was quickly filled in again. Joy filled the household. After days of celebration, Tobias prepared to return home. But Raphael knew the mission was still not complete, because in Nineveh, a blind man was still waiting for healing.
After several days of celebration, Tobias and his new wife Sarah prepared to leave the city. But Raphael spoke quietly to Tobias before the journey began. "Your father and mother have been waiting anxiously," he said. "We must travel ahead of the wedding caravan. There is medicine that will restore your father's sight." So Tobias and Raphael set out first, leaving the celebrations behind them. Across long roads and dusty plains they traveled back toward Nineveh. Meanwhile, far away at home, Tobit continued living in darkness. Every day, his wife Anna walked outside and looked toward the road, hoping to see their son returning. One afternoon, she saw two figures approaching in the distance. At first, they were only small shapes against the horizon, but slowly, as they came closer, she recognized the way one of them walked. Her heart leapt with joy. She ran back toward the house. "Your son is coming," she shouted. "Your son, Tobias, is coming home." Inside the house, Tobit struggled to stand. Though he could not see, he rushed toward the doorway. Moments later, Tobias entered the house. Father and son embraced tightly. Tears filled Tobit's blind eyes. But Tobias remembered the instructions Raphael had given him. From the pouch he carried, he removed the gall taken from the fish at the river. Gently, he applied the medicine to his father's eyes. At first, nothing happened, but then the white film covering Tobit's vision began to loosen. Slowly, like thin scales peeling away, the blindness began to disappear. Light returned, shapes formed, and suddenly, after 4 long years of darkness, Tobit could see again. The first face he saw was the face of his son. Overcome with emotion, Tobit and Tobias embraced each other tightly and wept with joy. The entire household erupted in celebration. Neighbors gathered, prayers of gratitude filled the air. But Raphael stood quietly beside them, knowing that his mission was nearly complete. After several days, Tobit called the young traveler who had guided his son, the man who had called himself Azarias. "You have done more for us than we could ever repay," Tobit said. "You protected my son, guided him through danger, and helped bring healing to our family." Then Tobit offered the traveler a great reward, half of everything they had gained during the journey. But Raphael asked Tobit and Tobias to sit with him first. "There is something you must understand," he said. "When you prayed, I carried your prayers before God. When Tobit buried the dead, I was present. When Sarah cried out in despair, I heard her voice. God sent me to heal you both." Then the traveler spoke words that changed everything. "I am Raphael, one of the 7 holy angels who stand before the throne of God." The room fell silent. The guide who walked beside them, the traveler who ate at their table, the stranger who seemed so ordinary, was an archangel. Overcome with awe and fear, Tobit and Tobias fell to the ground.
But Raphael told them not to be afraid. "Give thanks to God," he said. "It was God who sent me." Then Raphael revealed that his work on earth was finished. The time had come for him to return to heaven. As Tobit and Tobias watched, the human form Raphael had worn began to fade. The ordinary traveler disappeared. In his place stood a being filled with heavenly light, radiant, powerful, glorious. Then, in a moment beyond human understanding, Raphael ascended, rising upward, returning to the presence of God. They never saw him again, but his work had changed their lives forever. A blind man could see again. A demon had been bound. A woman had been freed from years of torment. 2 families had been restored, all because one of heaven's most powerful beings had walked quietly among humans without revealing his glory. Across the centuries, people would continue speaking his name, Raphael, the angel whose name means God heals. Stories spread across nations and generations. Some believed Raphael continued to appear, healing the sick and protecting the faithful. Hospitals were built in his honor. Churches painted his image. Travelers prayed for his protection on dangerous journeys. And ancient traditions even connected him to a mysterious pool in Jerusalem where an angel stirred healing waters. Whether through quiet guidance, powerful miracles, or unseen protection, the message remained the same. Healing is possible. Restoration can come even after terrible suffering, because sometimes the help walking beside us is greater than we realize. Raphael, the angel who heals, protects, and restores what darkness tries to destroy.